Hi there, this is Brittany from By Brittany Goldwyn. I post videos about plants and projects, and today we are going to be doing a little bit of very early season seed starting. So it's early February now in Maryland Zone 7A, and normally this will be a hair early for me to start seeds, but today I'm going to be starting some seeds of some of the cooler weather crops that I want to get a little bit of a jump start on before transplanting them out in maybe another month or so. So I am in my little greenhouse here, and as you can see, I've been growing some things already. I did seed some spinach here and a couple lettuce seeds about a month or so ago to see if I could get some growth going here in the greenhouse, even though I'm only heating this at night. So during the day, it can actually get pretty warm. It's very cold here today, but it is actually 71 degrees here in the greenhouse, even without the heater on. The heater only kicks on at night, and that is only to keep the greenhouse from falling below around 42 degrees. I've also got a couple things of kale growing in one of these grow bags, and then some spinach here. It's a little bit leggy. I just moved it over from a shadier edge of the greenhouse. So that shows you what I'm growing already. And up here, I've got a couple seeds that I started a little bit ago. This right here is a new container that I'm using this year. My cousin gave it to me. This has 6 cells of amazing cauliflower. I've actually never grown cauliflower from seed before, so I'm pretty excited to try that. And then here, let's see, what is this? 12, all 24 of these are asparagus seeds. 2 different varieties. I've got Millennium asparagus seeds, seeds that I saved from my own plants. And then I've also got some Mary Washington asparagus seeds that I got from a seed swap. So I'm pretty excited to see how these do here. Again, I am not applying any extra heat or light to these seeds. I do have them on the sunnier side of the greenhouse, so I'm hoping that as the days are getting a little bit longer every day, that will be enough light for these seedlings. And then anything I have to put below them or on the other side of the greenhouse, I will add a little strip grow light to in the beginning until the days start getting just a little bit longer. So for my seed starting medium, I don't go and buy bags of peat moss or seed starting mix at the store. Instead, I buy these coconut coir bricks online in bulk. As you can see, they come compressed in a big bag here. I think these are 5 packs and I've already used 2 of them. And what you do is you take a brick out and you put it in a bucket or something like that. And then you add warm water to it and it expands. And it actually provides quite a lot of potting medium, so you really get your money's worth with this. And here's an example of what's left of the brick that I added water to yesterday to do some of my initial seed potting prep. I'd say that this right here, I mean, this is a lot of potting medium. This is probably like maybe with like 30% of the brick used already. So definitely a way more economical route to take if you're going to be starting a lot of seeds. And even if you're not going to be starting a lot of seeds, I use the coconut coir a lot for making my own potting mixes, for container mixes, and even for lightening up some of my houseplant mixes. I've just finished prepping these 2 15 cell each seed starters. These are another little duo I got from my cousin to try out this year, and I really like how big the holes are on the bottom of these. So once I put seeds in these and start watering them, I will set these in some sort of tray here on top of this seedling heat mat so that I can water the seedlings from the bottom. And again, this is the sunnier side of my greenhouse. The sunniest is probably this corner right here. So it's where I'll be putting some of my seedlings and hoping that I don't need to add any extra light, so that the things I put over here, like this one and then some other random things I'm going to be putting on this side, those I can use my grow lights for. So today I'm going to be filling this one here with arugula, which generally I do not start greens and transplant them, but I feel pretty comfortable with how big these are here at the bottom, that I can just gently push up to pop them out once I get some good root growth and transplant these into my raised beds in about a month, just so I can get a little bit of a jump start. And honestly, when I'm planting seeds, I always start off wearing gloves, and then I always ditch them because I'd rather have my hands get a little dirty and maintain complete dexterity in my fingers, especially with these smaller seeds and smaller cells than I would have if I were using gloves. Okay, and then I'm going to just gently move these on top of the seeds that I popped in. And then for ones that I feel like could use a tiny bit more of potting medium, I'll just put one more little pinch there. And I had already pre-moistened the soil that was in, or the potting medium here that was in these cells. So I will probably not water these again until I get some sort of tray to set them on that I will bottom water with. I also want to show you guys the seed starting system that I have used for many years. I got these from Amazon. They are 12 cell little plastic thingies, and the plastic thingies have holes in the bottom, and then they sit down into this also plastic tray. So you can bottom water these. Sometimes I just water them from the top and let all the excess water drain down into the bottom, and then let that be a nice reservoir for them. And then on top of them sits this little greenhouse topper. And the greenhouse topper has a little vent in it, so you can open it up to let a little bit of air flow through it. But what I generally do with these is keep the vent closed all the time and then take the top off to kind of air the seeds out a little bit if I think things are getting a little like funky or moldy or anything. So I use the other two 15 cell ones for the arugula and chard, and I'm going to use this one for my leeks. I don't know that I want 12 leek plants or that I have room for 12 leek plants. I would love 12 leek plants. But what I'll do is if they all end up germinating and growing, I will just try and transplant them into pots, pot them up, and give them away. Now, I do know that having a greenhouse is a huge luxury that, trust me, I do not take for granted. This is my first spring ever with a greenhouse, and I've been starting seeds for many years. So these things are really great options if you don't have a greenhouse to start your seeds in. Now, if you're using these, I would still recommend getting some sort of grow light for them. A lot of these packages now, like some of them will even come with grow lights attached to the plastic toppers. And that will give the seedlings the light that they need to germinate. Now, when I first got started with these, I would just set them in a windowsill and hope for the best and didn't get any grow lights. But honestly, unless you have an extremely sunny window, even in my sunniest sunny window, which is pretty sunny because I have a sunroom, I was getting leggy seedlings growing. So what I will do with these, before I had the greenhouse, I'm still experimenting with things here now that I have the greenhouse, but I would take these and I would set them on a sunny windowsill, and then I would pop on one of those strip grow lights that I showed you earlier, just to give a little bit of extra light, and I would keep that on at full strength for, I would say, probably like 10 hours or so. I mean, of course, depending on the seeds that you're growing and what the needs are, but a lot of seeds need a lot of light to germinate, so even a super sunny windowsill is not necessarily going to cut it. Okay, now that all of my super early seeds are planted, I'm just going to make sure I'm keeping them moist and I'm monitoring their progress. Again, this is the first spring with my greenhouse, and I'm trying to grow a lot of stuff without using grow lights because it is a greenhouse, but it is still pretty early in the season in February, so the days are pretty short still. If I do need to add any sort of extra grow lights, I have a couple strip grow lights. Actually, I used to use these on houseplants, but I like to avoid using them if I don't have to, right? Because we don't want to use power for grow lights if we don't have to. Now, as far as fertilizing your seeds go, I like to use Fox Farm Grow Big when I see the first set of true leaves on the plant. Now, if you're unfamiliar with what that means, I'll show you what I mean by these spinach plants. So these right here are the first leaves that sprouted from the seeds, and then these are the first set of true leaves. And then the set in the middle is going to be the second set of true leaves. So these seeds are a little bit different because I did direct sow the spinach seeds into soil that already had fertilizer in it, so I've just been watering them. But if you're using the sterile medium in these seed starting containers like the coconut coir or another sterile seed starting medium, they do not have fertilizer in them. So once you get that first set of true leaves, you will want to start giving them some sort of plant food, some sort of nutrients. I like to use the Fox Farm Grow Big because I like to have one fertilizer that I use for everything, just to keep things super simple. Fox Farm is one of the ones I've been using for years, and it is what I will be using for my seedlings this year. I will just just dilute it to whatever the recommended thing is on the back. So on the back, it will show you general feeding, heavy feeding, supplemental feeding, seedlings, or if you're using a hose and sprayer, how much you have to use. Now this is super sun bleached, so if you're looking for the Fox Farm Grow Big and the bottle looks a little bit different, this tomato right here used to be bright red and these used to be different colors too. Now, I did talk a little bit about how these are a great option for starting seeds if you don't have a greenhouse. They work really well inside, and I've used them for years without any issues. Just clean them out and sanitize them at the end of the year. But if you're looking for other ways to start seeds without a greenhouse, I'm going to be making a video about how I've done it completely in the past, start to finish, because it has been very successful for me, and it was a very low-cost way of starting seeds that did not require a lot of grow lights, which is a lot of the big upfront investment to starting seeds is the whole apparatus. I will be doing a separate video on that. It's a method of using a storage tub flipped upside down in the future. That'll be a whole video when it comes time for that. But I want to show you all of the winter sowing I've done so far, because that's also a great option for people who don't have a greenhouse and want to get started super early on sowing seeds. So all you'll need for winter sowing seeds is some sort of plastic container, like a plastic milk jug or an old juice jug or an old clamshell salad container, something like that. Now, I did make a whole video step-by-step showing you how to set up your winter sowing seed process, but I'm going to show you all of my winter sowing seeds in real time here in my yard. So as you can see, I just have all of these little containers and jugs lined up in a sunny area of my yard. Now these are full of all sorts of seeds that need to be cold stratified, so lots of native plants that I'm looking to grow this year so I can take them to plant swaps and spread the native plant love. But I also use winter seed sowing for a lot of things like herbs. I have basil in one of these and dill in the other. And the whole point of winter sowing is to give the plants protection. So that lid on the jug provides protection from frost, but the lid also generates a lot of heat when the light hits the jug. And the little opening on the top, you'll notice that I left the cap off because that will allow water and moisture to get into the jug to keep the seeds happy and growing and healthy. And then the one thing to point out too on the bottom is whatever jug or container you're using, you poke a bunch of holes in so whatever water gets in through the top, the excess water can drain out through the bottom. This is an amazing method for starting seeds that honestly, I don't know why more people aren't doing it and talking about it, because you can upcycle containers that maybe you can't actually recycle where you live, like these stupid plastic clamshell salad containers. I like to try and avoid buying them whenever I can, but I've been collecting them from friends and family and using jugs and whatnot for my winter seed sowing, because it's just such a great way of creating a little mini greenhouse effect for your seeds. Now, even though I do have a greenhouse, I'm going to be doing more winter seed sowing in containers outside as the months progress, because honestly, it's just so easy and Mother Nature takes care of a lot of the things that, you know, you'd have to purchase otherwise, like seed starting containers or lights. Lights are such a big expense with seed starting. And with winter sowing, you can really allow Mother Nature to take control of the process as it's really intended to be with growing plants. Now, it's a little early in the season for me to seed a lot of things like vegetables that like higher temperatures. I will wait until probably like March to start sowing things like zinnia seeds, maybe some of the vegetables that I'm planning to grow from seed. I will wait until then to sow those, just because it'll be closer to the minimum temperatures that they need to germinate and grow. And that about wraps up where things look in my garden and greenhouse right now. I, like many, am very excited to get started on some seed starting and to see some tangible progress in my yard and in my garden. Remember, it's really never too early to get started, especially if you're winter sowing. And I will definitely do an update when I have to pot up some of these seeds and to let you guys know how things are going in the greenhouse this first spring growing seedlings. And then of course, I'll be doing my tomatoes and peppers and all sorts of things as we get a little bit warmer and closer to spring. Until then, happy planting!